calmly, don't give yourself away, like and subscribe to the channel. And now, run. What's the worst thing your boyfriend/girlfriend has done to you? I got married when I was 19. Things weren't great. I went back to school, meaning I was in bed by 9 to get up at 4 AM to travel hours to school. We were seeing a lot of each other as he normally worked until midnight. He was working, paying the bills, while I worked to get a better job. One day the bank called me saying they were gonna charge me fraud because I'd used my debit card, inserting paper as a check, and taking out cash. It was my husband. I knew something was up. Couple months later I found out he was smoking crack. I searched the app and found spoons, lighters, bags, etc. I asked him, and he admitted everything. He was smoking crack every night while I slept. Nothing had been paid, and we were basically fucked. An ex of mine cheated on me in the bathroom down the hall from my bedroom on New Year's Eve. 2 weeks later, I find out that she has hidden the fact that she had a child that a friend was raising for over 9 months. I'm just glad that I dodged that bullet of crazy. I'm posting this for my fiance about me. The other night, I was sick with the flu. I also ate something that had upset my stomach on top of the flu because I'm an idiot. We went to pick up some medicine for me, and on the way home, I told him to floor it because I needed to throw up and have explosive diarrhea at the same time. Oh, did I mention that we were visiting his parents at the time? It was splendid. By the time we got to his parents' house, I was exploding from both ends. I sprinted to his bathroom and decided to take care of the poop first. Well, after taking the shit of a lifetime, I clogged the toilet. Panicking, I grabbed the plunger and tried to unclog the unholy discharge of my bowels. As this is happening, I'm gagging. The toilet water stopped flowing when it reached the top, and because I wasn't enough of an idiot already, I thought to myself, let's try to flush the toilet now. So I flushed. Again. The water began flowing over the rim of the bowl. My soft, squishy poop was plopping over onto the floor. At this point, I'm freaking out. By freaking out I mean my brain has stopped working, and I'm laughing like a hyena, because the only other option is to cry. Now my fiance is worried, because he thought I was throwing up so violently, it sounded like laughter. He knocked on the locked door. Bacon Blossom, are you okay? Honey? I need your advice through the locked door. What happened? Just let me in. No. After much arguing, I open the door. He looks at me standing in an inch of poopy water holding a plunger. He then looks at the bathroom floor with my little poop nuggets clinging happily to every surface. His mouth just dropped open. It was then I started bawling. Let me wake up my mom. I can't find a mop. He struggled between his own gags. If you love me, you will tell her it's your poop. What? I swear to God, if you want to marry me, you will take the blame for this and tell her it's your poop. Needless to say, I don't do well under pressure. He ended up getting some towels and cleaning up my poop off the floor while I threw up in the sink, sobbing, 2 feet next to him. So I'm pretty sure this is the worst thing any girl has ever done to him. I'm also pretty sure that if he can clean up my poop off the ground and still want to sleep next to me, he's a keeper. TLDR, Pooppocalypse 2012. Can't wait to marry this man. Edit, oh good lord, this awful story would get a ton of upvotes. This morning when he woke up, our conversation was me, so don't be mad, but do you remember that time I destroyed your bathroom and freaked out? Yeah. Well, I might have posted it on Reddit, and they might have loved it. Oh lord. Well, at least you weren't waking me up to tell me you pooped again. I love you, dear. Marry him right now. I met him in the desert. I redeployed 4 months before he did. I waited those 4 months after being celibate for my 6-month deployment. I spent $300 on a dress to surprise him when he got home, and $600 on the airfare, and then approximate $2,000 for expensive meals and a hotel the weekend after he got back. After my trip was done and I got back to my base and he told me that he had fun, but that he wanted to play the field. And that all the times he told me he loved me, multiple times a day for 4 months, I should have been smart enough to know he just wanted a guaranteed fuck when he got home. I don't date anymore. I haven't even developed feelings since then. Pretty sure I'm broken. You're not broken, but you are hurt, and you have right to be. That was a really shitty thing to do. But if you don't trust someone again, if you don't let someone special into your life, then that idiot wins. Don't let him win. When I was a freshman in high school, I got my first boyfriend. He was a year older and seemed like a cool guy with similar interests. Within the first month, we went to see The Rundown. The date started out pretty normal and we were the only people in the theater. He started trying to mess around, which was something my prid 14-year-old self wouldn't allow. During the scene in which a monkey jumps on the rock's face, he decided that he wanted to have sex. In the theater. I punched him hard enough and often enough that he gave up. Wisely, I didn't say bye after that. Later in the weekend, we were at his father's house for his band practice. He said he'd like to go into the sauna with me. I should go in and wait, he was just finishing up. After a few minutes, I wondered where he was and decided to check. He had barricaded the door, so I couldn't get out, and informed me that it was punishment for what happened at the movies. It seemed like forever of me complaining that I was thirsty and my head hurt until he let me out, and I ended up passing out on the floor of his basement. Gigantic red flag number 2 was still not enough to make me GTFO. I told him that the things he did to me weren't right and he promised to change. When he didn't, and I tried to break up with him, he threatened suicide. After that, he became more violent. He threw a brick at me once. I dumped him then. He ended up in the hospital because he attempted suicide. I went back. He didn't change his violent habits, and I finally decided that I didn't care if he lived or died after he beat me with one of those metal folding chairs people use for parties. He tried to kill himself 3 more times and ended up in the psych ward. For months after he got out, he continued to call me. For the rest of high school and until I moved away, I made it my personal mission to tell every girl he dated that he was an abusive asshole who no human being should ever willingly endure. 3 of them came to me after with pretty horrible stories and thanked me for warning them, so they got out before things got as insane as they did for me. TL. Doctor, I was a naive 14-year-old girl who got into an abusive relationship and was too scared and stupid to get out. I was with a girl for 5 years, lived with her for 3. She had befriended this guy a few months prior and started being really sketchy when dealing with him, lying about seeing him, not coming home until real late, constantly glued to her texts. 2 days after we had an argument about it, my brother gets into a horrible accident and cripples himself for life. Girlfriend doesn't want to deal with all of that or my family and breaks up with me for personal reasons, but still wants to be friends. I want her to move out, but she begs me to stay in the house until the next semester, my name on lease, and reassures me the breakup is not about the guy. About 2 weeks later, I get wind from multiple sources that she and this guy have been considered an item for a while. I lose my shit, collect everything she owns in the house, and place it by the curb. By chance, she did not come home that night. I happened to forget the next day was trash day. I had a relationship with a guy when I was in high school that was very volatile. He was overly physical with me, but I wouldn't say he beat me. His parents and him moved away, and after a few weeks of long distance I broke up with him. He then got on a bus and came back to the city. My parents were out of town. He shows up at my house at midnight, breaks in, slits his wrists in my kitchen, and then threatens to kill me, but he cut his wrists so he couldn't. At this point one would think I should have called the police, but I felt sorry for him, so I called my friend to come and bring him to the hospital, where they said that he didn't cut himself very deep and he was fine. Didn't hear from him for years, and then a few months ago he tried to add me to Facebook, so I blocked him. Same sort of scenario for me, except a couple of hours after I blocked him on Facebook he hung himself at his friend's house, where we had first met 3 years prior. The guilt never leaves. This will probably get buried. Warning, not safe for life text. My girlfriend knew I was a heavy sleeper. I sleep through a lot of stuff sober, but when I'm drunk I simply don't wake up, unless something really out of the norm happens. I slept through our bed collapsing in an earthquake while sober. I was fairly drunk the night after I broke up with her. It wasn't too brutal, just was at her house, told it to her, we both cried, then I left. I woke up at about 2 AM to find her on my bed. There had been a toothpick shoved down my dick hole, and she had broken it so it splintered. I have never experienced pain as I did that day. TL. Doctor, my ex is now in a psych ward, not in caps, can't tell if SRS. Boyfriend at the time was robbing me, we were getting pretty into it, and I was about to come. Right as I started to orgasm, he yelled out come for Zoidberg, whoop 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 whoop. Needless to say, it totally ruined it for me. I was laughing way too hard to actually finish. Ever had an orgasm drop right in the middle? It sucks. I punched him in the arm after I stopped laughing, which took a good 5 minutes. Thank you for watching. Put a like and subscribe to the channel. Love you.